If you're like me, then you love spending time on your motorcycle. Whether it's a weekend ride through the country or an evening cruise around town, there's nothing quite like being out on two wheels. And if you're into off-road riding, then the Honda Ruckus is probably one of your favorite bikes. But can it handle rougher terrain? Let's take a closer look. After doing a little bit of research, I found that yes, the Honda Ruckus can handle off-road riding. It's not going to be as good as a dirt bike, of course, but it has got the power and the suspension you need to tackle some pretty rough terrain. And apart from being able to take on rougher trails, Honda Rucks are also great for beginners thanks to their rather small stature. In fact, the Ruckus is one of the best-selling mopeds on the market because it comes with a ton of features that make it perfect for beginners and veterans alike. But if you want to take it off-road, you're going to need a few modifications. More on that later. What is a Honda Ruckus and what are its specs? As I mentioned, the Honda Ruckus is a 50cc seeker with an electric start system. It can reach speeds of just under 30 miles per hour, and if you add some weight to it, then that number will go down. The body of the bike itself was built out of aluminum alloy and comes with a sporty black design. There's also a trunk under the seat for those who want to haul their belongings, but what makes it ideal for off-road riding is its suspension and figure-8 design. The suspension can take on rougher trails and offer more protection, and by turning the Honda Ruckus around, you're able to shift your weight and increase the angle of the bike. How well does it handle off-road terrain and obstacles? Modifications are the key to being able to take your Honda Ruckus off-road. It doesn't have anything in common with a dirt bike, so you'll need to make some changes if you want it to survive the trail. The main problem is its small tires. They can handle very smooth terrain but aren't able to stand any kind of obstacle. The larger the obstacle, the worse it'll be for your Ruckus, so you should avoid anything larger than a small pebble. Another issue is that rough trails are going to mess up your electric start system. It's delicate and will not do well when you take it through mud or over rocks. So you are going to need to stop often and clean off your bike. That way, you'll be able to get it started again if the battery runs out. Modifications required for making a Honda Ruckus off-road. In order to make your Honda Ruckus into an off-road machine, you should take note of the following modifications: suspension, tires and rims, air intake, and electric start system. Let's first talk about suspension. When it comes to suspension, the Honda Ruckus is not that great. It can handle most regular roads with ease, but if you take it off-road, then you might want to consider upgrading your suspension system. One thing I would do is replace its front and rear shock absorbers with some aftermarket ones. The suspensions on these bikes are usually pretty weak, so if you are able to, then I would suggest investing in some stronger shocks. Number 2. Tires and rims. One of the main reasons why a Ruckus can't handle off-road terrain is because of its tires. They're just not big enough to support the weight and size of the bike, so you'll need to replace them with some larger ones. In order to keep costs down, I would suggest buying a tire that's usually found on a 50cc dirt bike. They're perfect for going off-road and should give you enough grip to handle even the roughest trails with ease. Number 3. Air intake. Another common modification is to increase your Honda Ruckus's air intake. It's very sensitive, so if you take it over a few rocks, then you might have trouble getting the bike to start again. Increasing your intake size can keep this from happening and ensure that your Ruckus will always be able to start up again. Number 4. Electric start system. The last of the most common modifications is replacing or increasing the capacity of your battery. Since you'll be taking your Honda Ruckus off-road, it's going to have a hard time dealing with the excess weight of your bike. The smaller batteries used on these bikes can't handle the added stress and often run out before you even get to start enjoying your ride. But there is a way around this problem. You can either switch to a slightly larger battery or invest in a higher capacity one. Now let's talk about the pros and cons of taking a Honda Ruckus off-road. Like everything, taking a Honda Ruckus off-road comes with a lot of advantages and disadvantages. The pros of taking your Ruckus off-road are that you'll be able to avoid the traffic and enjoy a more scenic route. You'll also be getting some exercise and having fun at the same time. But with these advantages come some disadvantages as well, such as the fact that it's not meant for this type of terrain. It's very small and can't handle sharp rocks, so it'll need some modifications to do well in the wild. Additionally, you'll be exposing your bike to a lot of dangers, including water and mud. In order to protect yourself, you should have a good helmet and some protective gear before going on any kind of trail ride. In conclusion, the short answer is yes, it's very good for off-roading, but only by doing some modifications and being careful with your bike. If you take necessary precautions and don't push your Ruckus too hard, then it'll be able to handle most trails with ease. Be sure to always keep your Ruckus maintained, and it'll be able to take on the toughest of trails. If you do all that, then you should definitely be able to enjoy an epic ride through nature without any problems.